President Trump out overnight defending that decision to halt his family separation policy, a policy that only a few days earlier his own Homeland Security Secretary claimed did not exist. The stunning reversal punctuating a rocky week for this White House, forced to react in real time to national outrage of the president and his administration's making.
We're going to keep families together, but the border is going to be just as tough as it's been.
The president's dramatic 180 in the wake of crushing political pressure from both sides of the aisle. On Wednesday, signing an executive order that allows newly detained families to stay together in federal custody, while adults await prosecution. Their cases now move to the front of the line. So what happens to the more than 2,300 children already separated? A Health and Human Services spokesman tells NBC News those children may not be immediately reunited with parents who are awaiting court hearings. A senior HHS official later clarifying it is still very early and we are awaiting further guidance on the matter. The president again Wednesday night trying to blame Democrats.
Democrats put illegal immigrants before they put American citizens. What the hell is going on?
The executive order does not end the administration's zero tolerance policy, prosecuting all adults who cross the border illegally.
We're sending them the hell back.
So why the turnaround?
I didn't like the sight or the feeling of families being separated.
But for days, the president and his aides repeatedly wrongly insisted their hands were tied.
Now, wait, you can't do it through an executive order.
Congress and the courts created this problem, and Congress alone can fix it.
Beyond those images of children in jail-like settings, what changed the president's mind? Sources familiar with the matter tell NBC News it may have been concerns privately shared by his daughter Ivanka Trump and the First Lady.
Ivanka feels very strongly. My wife feels very strongly about it. I feel very strongly about it. I think anybody with a heart would feel very strongly about it. We don't like to see families separated. At the same time, we don't want people coming into our country illegally. This takes care of the problem.
And Peter, some of the airlines, U.S. domestic carriers, have been weighing in on this as well.
Yes, Savannah, that's right. Several major U.S. airlines, American and United among them, demanding the government stop using their carriers to transport separated children to other parts of the country. The Department of Homeland Security, through a spokesperson, calling it unfortunate. And overnight, dozens of demonstrators showed up at LaGuardia Airport to protest the policy separating these children from their families. Even after the president's executive order, how they roll back that policy, how they reunite those families, still remains unclear. Savannah and Hoda.
All right, Peter, thank you.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.